get up. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up.
Come on, kick the funk. Rock to the rhythm, go. I said rock to the rhythm, you don't stop. Cause ghetto funk has got to beat the show shot. I said rock to the rhythm, you don't stop. So who the squad that'll make the house drop? Ghetto funk with the rhythm, you don't stop. Cause the squad has got to beat the show shot. I said rock to the rhythm, you don't stop. So who the squad that'll make the house drop? Ghetto.
Get up. Get up. Well, get up. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up.
Here we go. Rock to the rhythm, go. I said rock to the rhythm, you don't stop. Cause ghetto funk has got to beat the show shot. I said rock to the rhythm, you don't stop. So who the squad that'll make the house drop? Ghetto funk with the rhythm, you don't stop. Cause the squad has got to beat the show shot. I said rock to the rhythm, you don't stop. So who the squad that'll make the house drop? Ghetto. That's right.
Get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. It's like that, y'all. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Come on. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Well, get up. Get up, do the up rock. Get down and shake it when the beat drop. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Well, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up.
What's up, mommies and poppies, boys and girls? My name is Aldo Gandia. This is Bear Their Souls. And for those of you who have not seen the last few shows, you're probably wondering where Dan Aguirre is. Well, Dan is no longer with us here at the barroom only because his work schedule changed. His 911 job, his hours have changed, and so he's unable to be here at night. Hopefully in the future, he and I will do something together. He and I have talked about doing some specials, utilizing his vast knowledge of history of the Chicago Bears, and just talking stuff. So there's plenty of stuff that we can do. Hey, Brandon, what's happening? And everyone else who has joined us live, we've got 80 people right now pouring into YouTube, Facebook, and our X channel. So want to thank you all for joining us live, and those of you who will join us via on demand. Thank you very much for being here. You know, I sent out a poll on X today asking people what they thought. Well, let me put it up here. How confident are you that the Bears will win more than lose in 2025? This was before the press conference. Got about 250 votes. 35.8%. Let's round it up to 36%. Said that their confidence was somewhat that they're somewhat confident that the Bears are gonna win more games in 2025 than lose. After the press conference that a lot of people saw or heard about, that number dropped to 20%. And that no confidence was the leader at 37%. We had 12% at very confident, 20% at somewhat, 32% at little confidence, and 37%, rounding these numbers up, have no confidence. And I got to tell you, as I'm watching this press conference, and I hate to do this, I really do hate to do this, because somebody accused me of being a hater when I was being critical on X about Ryan Poles. I am not a hater of Ryan Poles. I pray that he succeeds. I want him to succeed, not only for himself and his family, but more for me. More for me and you that's watching this. I don't want to go through this every fucking year. It's driving me fucking nuts. This has been the lowest out of all the years. And I've been following this team since the 60s. And I hate to say that because I know people, young people, oh, well, here's the old guy talking about how long he's been a fan. But it's been a lot of years of frustration. That very first year that I was totally glued to every game, they were 1-13. They were 1-13. And let me interrupt myself by saying I got a couple of guests. I will announce who they are when they arrive. And of course, Johnny Santucci will be here at the 9 o'clock Central Hour. So about an hour from now, Johnny Santucci will have his Bears State of Affairs. So back to my point, I don't want to hate Ryan Poles. I don't want to hate him, but it's his transactions, his lack of transactions. It's how he has general managed this team. That fucking record that got Matt Eberflus fired is his too. It's his too. So, I'm not calling for his firing, but what I saw today didn't inspire me at all. There's no reason to feel confident about the Chicago Bears after sitting through his press conference, and then less confident after George McCaskey addressed the media and answered questions, and then even less confident with Kevin Warren. I mean, the people at the very top, the suits, as they have been called in Hollywood and sports and so forth, those suits with this organization just seem incompetent. And I know that they're not, especially Kevin Warren. You know, the guy's got a master's in this and has done that, agent, and worked with the Rams and the Vikings, built the stadium in Minnesota, responsible for all that shit. He can't be as stupid as he comes off in these press conferences. And maybe it's me. I am willing to accept that. If somebody has a complaint about hey, Aldo, it's you because of this, I'll gladly listen. I will fucking gladly listen. And hopefully I won't be as disappointed, because that's where I am, disappointed and frustrated at how this organization is being run. So let me give you an idea first of how the press conference started and what immediately said to me, oh my God, what the fuck were they doing? Now, they did one thing right. in that they did more than one thing, but to start with, they did one thing right, and that was to have Ryan Poles go out by himself to show that he's in control, to show the fans, to show the entire organization, current Bears players, future candidates, who they've been asking these questions, or will ask these questions about who the fuck is in charge here. I got a burp. Sorry. So they did that right. They put him out there center stage. But he comes out very soft-spoken. I got to fucking crank it up to 11. Is there an 11 on this thing? I got to hear this guy. The fucking reporters' questions are 10 times louder than him because he's so, this guy, his public speaking is like how he played offensive line. You know what I'm saying? It's very meek. It doesn't sound very confident. So here is the first one that I have to play for you. Is the first impression. This is a minute and a half. Listen to how unimpressive he is. And for you body language experts, he's got his hands behind his back, which is generally thought of as, being brave, military at attention, at ease and stuff. But body language experts will also tell you the hands behind the back could be a defensive position, could be anxiety. It's like these body language guys cover themselves. Oh, it could mean anything from A to Z. But to me, because of his soft-spoken nature and what he was saying, it just felt like the body language, everything was just off. And the Bears have a guy in charge of communications, this Ted Cruz guy. I thought he was brought in to help with the verbal presentation by Chicago Bears management, but it just gets worse and worse. So this is the first, he said a few words. I cut out all the thank yous. Thank you, management for still employing me. Thank you this and thank you that. And then he got to this point, and I was just like, what the fuck?
Ryan, given the historic nature of this year's failure, what specifically are you willing, given the historic nature of this year's failure, what specifically are you willing to take ownership of that contributed to the unraveling?
We lost games, and at the end of the day, the wins and losses and the record, that's on me. I'm in charge of the football operation. I've been entrusted to get this organization to a championship caliber, and we came up short with that, and I have to take responsibility for that.
Your plan for Caleb was very specific and very elaborate. Yep. His entire rookie season was subjected to disruption and stress. What
can you explain the disruption and stress part?
Offensive coordinator got fired, his head coach got fired. Mm-hmm. Through a lot of turmoil throughout the course of his rookie season. Yep. What went wrong with your plan?
Yeah, obviously, there's some things when there's a staff in place. When we went through the interview cycle with Shane, I think there's some compatibility things. I think there's some challenges with pairing, and I answered this before, a rookie quarterback that has a lot of growth. He had 37 starts, in college. You'd like to, have in that 35 to 40 range, and there's a lot of growth there, and there's some compatibility to make sure that it's being taught the right way. And I think there were some hiccups there, and again, that's part of the ownership piece that I got to take.
Osama says, I felt bad for Ryan Poles. Yeah, I kind of did too. I mean, I was probably more frustrated than feeling bad. One of the things that I've done in my career is that I got the opportunity without really much formal training, just by seeing and reading and stuff like that, but to advise CEOs when they're doing speeches, videotaping them. As a director, which is what I was for many, many years of my career, you got to learn some of this stuff so that you can tell business people, because a lot of times I was working with business people, to give them an aura, of confidence. And he is going back and forth, which is when you're behind the podium or when you're in a theater setting, you got to stay rock solid. Rock solid. There's studies that teachers get better scores if they are at the front of the classroom and they are delivering their messages without moving around and so forth. They're just making eye contact with student after student after student, and Poles is just rocking back and forth. And J2K says that hands behind your back is a positive, but like I said earlier, not necessarily. Not necessarily. You got to take into context more of the things that's going on. This guy came out there and he was drinking water, he's clearing his throat. It was not pretty. I felt like crying for him too. But I'm not going to cry. Where's my sound effect? I'm crying. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to complain. So give me that. And this is that complaining show. So at least while I'm doing the solo bit, I got to complain because that's what's in my heart. I'm not fucking around here. I'm not trying to get clicks or whatever people accuse you of when you say shit. So he starts it off that way, and unimpressive. And then part of the issue, too, was Kevin Warren. And George McCaskey, we'll get to that in a second. So this is Kevin Warren when he is asked about extending Ryan Poles' contract, because there's this big thing, for those of you who are watching from out of state, there's this big thing in Chicago. How much is he getting paid? But more importantly, how long is his fucking contract? How long do we have to stay with this guy? But they won't release it. Now, check this out. I did a little research. Like Mike Dor says, I actually did research for the show. When Ryan Poles was asked, no, that's not it. God damn it. Here it is. In January of 2022, ESPN reported that the Packers had extended the contract of their general manager. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name. A little later that month, NFL Network reported that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah signed a 4-year, $12 million deal. So not only did they list the years, but they listed the amount that he was making. Earlier this year, in March, ESPN reported that the Lions general manager, Brad Holmes, had his contract extended. Today, Ryan Poles refused to share that with the media. Basically said, it's none of your business. It's my personal thing. And we'll get to that part where reporters asked him, well, you're going to get asked this. But here's Kevin Warren, getting back to my point here. Here's Kevin Warren talking about, are you going to extend Ryan Poles' contract?
All the reasons you listed about your confidence in Ryan.
Yes.
Are you committed to him for the long term? Because that seems like that would be a potential concern for a new coach coming in. If Ryan is at the end of his contract and this new coach would be starting his contract.
I mean, there are a lot of assumptions in your question. When we say long term, I mean, a year is a lifetime. And I know that's important. And I know 2025 is important not only from a football standpoint, from a stadium standpoint, from an operation standpoint. And so, again, I trust Ryan. I trust the process that he has put together. I'm confident it will yield positive results. We will hire a world-class coach, whether it's Thomas Brown or someone who currently does not work in our organization. We will get this right. And I'm looking forward to it. I am so excited about being able to start these interviews. I haven't been able to sleep the last couple nights.
Poor fucking baby. He hasn't been able to sleep. I'm so excited. Fuck you. Come on. This does not inspire us. This does not inspire the serious Bears fan. The Bears fans that buy all this shit. Doesn't inspire us. And why can't you just say this is the final year of his contract? We'll make a decision at the end of 2025 whether we're going to extend him or not. That's what we're going to tell the candidates. That's what we're telling you now. And that's what everybody knows. We'll not bring it up again until the end of 2025. That's how you handle that. That's how you handle it. Not this pussy shit. I'm so excited we're going to interview some candidates. Fuck that. It is an embarrassment, Jimeth. It's an embarrassment. I hate to say that. I really do. And the biggest embarrassment is George McCaskey. He's the fucking biggest. I never felt this way about the guy. He worked at Channel 2 when I worked there. I see him down the hallway. I was a shy kid back then, so I didn't have the courage to go up to him and shake his hand and talk football with him. I wish I would have. I didn't, but He was, did a nice job in the newsroom. He was interning as a writer and stuff, heard good things about his work. And then he went on to do tickets over at the Chicago Bears. He seems like that kind of avuncular uncle, that nice uncle guy. But now, the more and more he talks, it's just filling me with...
After 3 seasons in this job.
Sorry. Filling me with rage, and my finger twitches. This is an interesting question. This is the first question. I'm not quite sure who the reporter is. So if someone in the chat, our live chat, we're close to 200 people listening on Facebook or watching on Facebook, X, and what's the other thing? YouTube. If anybody knows with the reporter's name here, I'd like to credit him because this was a great opening question. Where is it? Here it is.
At the Seattle game, near the end of it, there's some pretty loud chants from the fans that were there, sell the team. What was your reaction? I'm sure you heard it or heard about it. What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, it's understandable. As Kevin mentioned, our fans are passionate. They're incredibly frustrated. They wanted to make their voices heard. I was more bothered by the week before when Lions fans tried to take over Soldier Field and force the home team to go to a silent snap count. Fortunately, that didn't happen. It's understandable that Bears fans would sell their tickets because of the way the season has gone. And the challenge for us is to put a team on the field that Bears fans are so excited about, they're not interested in selling their tickets.
Bullshit! That's right. Everything he said there was bullshit. Listen to this, what happened at the Score Sports Radio today.
So we're talking with Tyrique Stevenson, the CEO of Circa. Tyrique, I don't know if you know this, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were here in Chicago for the Bears-Lions game, right? Because those are your guys.
Yep, correct.
Okay. George McCaskey said this about your Lions fans' brethren.
Yeah, it's understandable. As Kevin mentioned, our fans are passionate. They're incredibly frustrated. They wanted to make their voices heard. I was more bothered by the week before when Lions fans tried to take over Soldier Field and force the home team to go to a silent snap count.
So what was it like trying to take over Soldier Field, Tyrique?
Well, I don't know where you want me to go with that, but McCaskey sold me as a suite. So that's where I sat with a whole bunch of Lions fans.
It's fucking hilarious, those two guys. I get why they're laughing, but I'm so fucking frustrated. I didn't find that shit funny at all. When, and they probably were told by the producers, oh, by the way, I found out in the pre-interview that McCaskey sold his tickets. And the guy had not heard the press conference, so he didn't know that he was throwing George under the bus there. But, so they knew it was coming, so they laughed. It's a great moment. That piece of video is going to go viral. Watch. I mean, it is going to be millions and millions of hits on that tomorrow. It'll probably be on the NFL Network and blah, blah, blah. Because he was caught in a red lie, what's the expression, whatever. He's caught in a motherfucking lie that it just exposes that he really doesn't care. You see that suit he's wearing? The suit Kevin Warren is wearing? Those suits cost more money than any money that I've made here at the Barroom Network. That's the truth. We're talking about $5,000 suit, a $600 tie, all this shit. And, part of my frustration, I guess, is, yes, Christina, we are fucked. We are fucked. We are fucked. Raw dog. That's how it is. And so part of my frustration is, having been a working class person my entire life, and I assume that everyone in the chat has been in that middle class. And there's been some years in my life where I made fucking money that was unbelievable, but never, for many, many years that I can say I am fucking rich, I am set, I am part of the 1%. No, that hasn't happened. But these guys, George McCaskey, he hasn't worked. Sold tickets. Worked at the newsroom for a little while. And he's just basking in all this money. And it just doesn't feel authentic when he talks about it in that monotone state that, he really cares about this. And it bothered me even more about the Lions and stuff. Get the fuck out of here, man. Give me people that care. I can understand the love for John Gruden becoming the next Bears head coach by a section of fans who are really into his very passionate demeanor. We want that in Chicago. Our greatest success of our lifetime or of our parents' lifetime was coaching the 85 Bears to the Super Bowl, and there was friction between him and Buddy Ryan, and that friction developed the greatest fucking team, one-season team in the history of football. But what's happened since then? The McCaskey family, they were disrupted by that friction that was going on. Mike Ditka got a DUI. Mike Ditka threw some gum at people. Mike Ditka was successful. He beat the shit out of players. And there are a lot of things that he did that I hate. That Mike Ditka did. But the one thing that he did was he transformed this team from losers to winners. And that's important. We're not getting that from the McCaskey family. They don't care to have that in the organization. They forced HBO to cut out all the cussing. You know what? You want a leader of men? They cuss. They cuss a lot. So get the fuck out of here with this whitewash Chicago Bears. George Halas would be fucking freaking out if he could see what the McCaskies have turned this organization into. It's just really sad. I got to apologize to people in the chat. Just out of the corner of my eye, I see something really, really interesting. But I'm kind of focused on delivering my rant here because I really need to get this off of my chest. I go over to my wife and I tell her, that fresh reference. And then within 10 seconds, she's looking at the cookbook, what we're making for dinner tonight. And I gotta get this out. I got to get it out. And I got no friends. I'm home all day. So, let's see, I did start a couple of things. Oh, look at Keith. Gave me a $2 super sticker. Keith Lutz, you're the man. Keith Lutz is a former reporter or current reporter, politics and sports. Thank you very much for your participation. I think you found us through Mike North. You're a big fan of North, and thank you for the $2 super sticker, brother. Ryan Voss. Aldo, what kind of draft coverage in college all-star game coverage can we anticipate from the bar room this year? Well, it's a great question, Ryan. And I am going to have, I hate to put it off, because I sound now like Kevin Warren when he's talking about the stadium, right? But we're finalizing the details now, and so I will have an announcement either later this week or first thing next week. So I promise you that. All right, I want to play some more tape. I know Tooch has just arrived. He's got his screen off, so I can't see what he's doing. Sometimes he eats when he gets here early. Sometimes he's still got the family up. Sometimes he's jerking off, but so I can't see what he's doing. If he's jerking off, pop out a good one for us, brother. So more Ryan Poles. This is him. I thought this was fucking hilarious. This is him talking about the problems with the offensive line. I think the question is from Brad Biggs.
What's the most frustrating element for you with the offensive line play throughout the season?
Line wise, the frustrating piece of that is I think it was hard to really identify. I'll say it this way: there wasn't one reason. It wasn't always the offensive line. It wasn't always the quarterback. It wasn't always the running back in protection. There's a lot of factors in there to look into, and I think all were involved, and it's a place we need to improve as we move forward. Because obviously you don't want your quarterback hit that much, and some of those things do fall on Caleb. I think he's mentioned that to you guys in terms of getting us in a position to pick things up and also getting the ball out on time. And that's part of being a young quarterback is you're trying to figure out the coverages and you're seeing a lot of different things, but you're also trying to be right. And that leads to some of those sacks. So I think, again, there's a lot of learning to be done in that situation.
I'm going to be fair. There was some good stuff that he said there. But again, I just wish that he would say the biggest problem with the offensive line has been me. I haven't invested enough of the assets that I've had available, and I've had considerable assets into the offensive line. Part of it is because some of our draft evaluations on offensive linemen was wrong. I'm happy with the players that we selected. For instance, Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker, two outstanding Pro Bowl caliber defensive backs. But we did bypass a couple of offensive linemen and defensive linemen who would have been quality picks. So we're evaluating the way we draft and how we prioritize certain positions and players. We're evaluating that so that we can avoid those mistakes. That's what he should have said. I don't know what the fuck he said after a while. He started getting into shit that I just... Tooch says, my wife is putting the girls to bed. I figured I'd drop by early if you didn't have a guest. Tooch, we do have a guest, but I want everybody in on this party. I want people to talk me out of my misery. I want people to join my misery. I want people, oh, look at this. Excuse you, Aldo. Shut the fuck up and acknowledge Jimith. $20 donation. He says, appreciate your fury, Aldo. After 40 years of this crap, I've had enough. You're absolutely correct. Ownership doesn't care. The McCaskies have pissed away a legacy franchise. This is now a bottom 3 NFL organization right now. Jimith, I should be paying you for that because that was brilliantly said. I see Tooch nodding his head in agreement. You're absolutely right. And since this is Bear Our Souls, I'm going to add that for many, many, many years, people have been telling me the problem is the McCaskies. And I've been, get the fuck out of here. They just have had some bad luck about it. Dude, just give me a thumbs up. They just had some bad luck about who they hired. And I was like pushing that idea off, because those guys were out of sight, out of mind. But now I'm starting to realize that they are the main problem. They're selecting people that are a reflection of themselves. And that is the problem. They are not football people. They are not. And they have never built wealth. Because when you build wealth, you fucking run over people. You have a football player's mentality. Block the shit out of him. Knock him to the ground. Pancake his ass. Go up for that ball and beat the defensive back for that ball. Or beat the wide receiver. It's all of that and much, much more. And the McCaskies don't have that. I mean, George certainly doesn't. George does not have that killer instinct that you want. You know what? As a big of a bozo Jerry Jones is, he gets it. He gets it. One of the things that he has done with the Cowboys is they've always built a really solid offensive line, the trenches. And the big contradiction here, the big irony, is that Ryan Post, a former offensive lineman, just hasn't gotten it done. It seems like it's not even a priority. Thanks again, Jim. That was very, very kind of you. Scottish Bear says, or Jim adds, remember when George admitted that Ted Phillips remained president as long as he did because he got along with everybody. Exactly. She's a nice guy. We got to keep him around. Yeah, he fucked up the Soldier Field renovation. Yeah, but he's a nice guy. And you know what? He does my taxes like really, really well. So why did this pop up on my screen? The fucking Macintosh is acting weird. Keith Lutz says, build wealth, Pritzker is a trust fund baby and never earned a dime. No wonder Illinois is screwed. Yeah, I find it hard to have respect, and I know it's somewhat of a bigoted approach that I have, but I find it hard to respect people who have got their wealth because of the hard work of others, particularly like family, you know? So it's just so sad. A lot of great comments here. Brandon says, as Olin says, you get what you pay for. Second lowest line, and they played like it. Yeah, exactly. Now, but the other thing I will add to that, Brandon, is you could have a inexpensive offensive line that is much better than ours if we draft correctly. If you invest draft picks, you could have 3 or 4 of the offensive linemen for the Chicago Bears be on their rookie contracts. Then bring in some superstar that you're paying. Let's say, for instance, Trey Smith of Kansas City Chiefs goes free agent. He's not, but let's say, hey, Trey, you know what we're going to give you? Fucking $50 million. All the fucking hookers on Austin Street. They're all yours. They're all yours. All money, it's all yours. Come over and play for the Bears. That's what they got to do. They got to overpay for one superstar and then draft correctly. And then all of a sudden, this offensive line is cooking. Bingo, Aldo. Bingo what? About the horse? Oh, Lord. All right. Let me play some more audio here. Tooch is going to be joining us soon. Then we've got another guest who will join us, and then another guest. I don't want to name their names now because if I do, we might lose some of our audience. I know that if I say Tooch's name, that our audience will increase. If I mention these 2 other guys, people will say, oh, let me see what's on TV. All right. Now, I do have to give Ryan Poles credit for this response. He reflects back on the 2024 season, and there are some parts of this portion of the press conference that I think he nails.
Looking back at the season, not happy with the results. It's been a long season where those Mondays have been really, really difficult because we continue to come up short. And I have to take responsibility as the leader of the football operation for that. And I also have to make sure that we find solutions to make sure that we don't make that mistake again and we can continue to improve. I think anytime you have struggle, but I also think when you have success too, it's important to listen, reflect, learn, and adjust to make sure that you're putting yourself in a good position. I also think part of that is taking a look in the mirror to make sure that, just in terms of myself as a leader, I'm doing everything that I can to help our football team. After spending time going through the exit process with our players yesterday, reflecting and taking time to look back, one of the things that popped out, and I think it was a common theme, is I think we have to change back to our process over outcome. I think this year, with the excitement of the season, it was very much outcome over process. Winning, expectations, all of those things, which goals are fine. You never want to back down from that. But the detail, the accountability, the competitive poise in critical situations, finding a edge to win games is something that we came up short with. I think as a front office, we got to continue to add talent to this roster. We have to make sure that the players we bring into this building also fit the culture that we want, so we can continue to make strides forward. So I'm disappointed, just like our fans are, but I'm not discouraged. I believe we have a strong core of players that we're going to connect to the right staff as they come in to make the progress that's needed. I'm grateful for George and Kevin and their trust in me to continue to get this thing back on track and get it corrected. I do want to address some of the things that I've heard about the relationship between Kevin and I that couldn't be further from the truth. We spend almost every single day together talking about solutions and direction of where we want to be and where we're going to go. It is so far from the truth it was a little disappointing to hear that, to be honest.
I thought that he said a lot of good things there, but there is something about just his speaking style that is so dull, and Minister Charles Johnson popped in, I think just now, and because I didn't see a previous post, and he says, I've talked myself off of the ledge. I'm going to trust that Ryan Poles has learned from the past 3 years and will wake up. Either that or his wife is threatening to leave if he starts missing car payments. I love that, Minister. And please, Minister, forgive me for all of the sins, all of the swearing that I said today. As soon as I saw your name up there, I was like, oh no, I hope my wife isn't watching this too. There's a minister listening to me throw all these swear words. But that was very astute, and perhaps that's the way that I should look at it. More religiously. I've always said I follow the Bears religiously. Maybe I need to take that religious approach and have faith that this thing is going to turn around. I can't do it. I can't do it. You want to know why I can't do it? Listen to this. This is George McCaskey talking about what is undoubtedly the biggest play of the year, the Hail, Fail, Mary in Washington.
George,
Kevin?
what was your reaction to Tyrique Stevenson's actions during the Hail Mary and how the team handled it the next couple weeks?
I had never seen anything like that. As an observer of this great game for more than 60 years, I was more interested after it happened in his reaction and his teammates' reaction. I think he understood that he made a mistake. He owned up to it. He apologized to his teammates. He apologized to the fans. And he said he was going to learn from it, and I think he did.
See, I found that totally unacceptable. I understand, and with the minister here, I especially appreciate the feeling of forgiveness. That is fine. But can't he be a little bit more authentic? Or maybe it's not in him. Maybe he wasn't angry. Maybe he didn't say an F word. And minister says that I'm okay. God looks at your character, not your choice of words. Well, maybe he should look at my choice of words over my character. Just kidding, Lord. But the thing is I want a little bit more of a response that says, as opposed to saying I've never seen this in my life as a fan of this great sport, he should have said, when it happened, I was furious. I was embarrassed. I was ready to throw a rock at him or whatever, something like that, that just show a little bit more passion, as opposed to, just like brushing it off when we all know that we could have gone 5-2 if he were to follow his assignment and potentially gone on a losing streak, because we lost against inferior teams with less talent, but we lost to them because the spirit had been kicked out of this team, not only by Tyrique's action, but by the head coach, who failed to call the proper play, defensive alignment, prior to the Hail Mary, allowing Jaden Daniels 10, 15 more yards to reach the end zone with his throw. I want somebody, maybe like Mark Cuban or not Jeff Bezos, because Jeff Bezos is starting to really piss me off. I want my packages, dude. But somebody with, some heart, man, who really understands Bears fans, as opposed to appearing to be, asking what time is tea time, So this is another part of the press conference that really got me pissed off. And by the way, one other thing that got me pissed off was when Ryan Poles says, I have to take responsibility. As GM, I have to take responsibility for that. Why phrase it that way? I know I'm nitpicking on words and so forth. I understand, but that's my background. I'm a communications guy. Why do you say I have to take responsibility? No, own it. It's my fault. It's my responsibility. That should not have happened. As opposed to saying I have to take it, it's part of the job, So let me play this. Our other special guest has arrived. I'll play this after this segment on discipline regarding the players being, basically saying, yeah, we want you to fucking kick our ass because we'll get a little lazy. Oh man, I got a lot of guests coming on now. This is awesome. Let me play this discipline thing, and then I'll bring in our two special guests, and then we'll bring Tooch in, and we'll have some fun. This is polls on players wanting discipline.
What seems to be maybe an overriding, or at least a theme in the locker room, that the players need more discipline, need to be challenged more. Is that true? Is that the type of coach that this locker room needs, based on you learning more about your players?
Yeah, I think that's important for any locker room. I had made a comment a couple weeks ago about training camp. I think one important thing is we look at the wins and losses, but you got to go to the root cause on how we got there. And I do think we need to challenge our guys more. And when we talk about accountability, there's systems of accountability. It's how we're going to put tape up of this is not how we do it. And then with examples of this is how we do it. And sometimes that can be uncomfortable. I call that healthy friction. I definitely think we need more of that, and that would help result in closing that gap on some of these games that we came short.
No shit. No shit. I'm sorry, but no fucking shit, man. So this is McCaskey talking about pretty much the same subject.
George, what do you make of the players saying that accountability was lacking in the locker room, and then talk that maybe Caleb Williams wasn't challenged as hard as he could have been challenged?
Well, I think the players are the best barometers of things like accountability. It is said that the great teams are really run by the players, that there's leadership in the locker room to bring that about. And we need to do better in that area going forward.
George.
I just can't. I just can't with this guy. I just can't. This guy, when you're born with a golden spoon up your ass, that's how you act. You just don't fucking get it. You don't get it. And you're working for an organization where your most fervent fans are people who have worked their asses off to purchase those fucking tickets. You can fucking sell them to some CEO because you don't want to go to the Lions game, but you get fucking pissed off and the fans sell their tickets because they don't want to see the garbage that you put out there. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. I'm getting tired of hearing myself complain, but you know what? I'm actually feeling this is very cathartic for me. I think I really needed this tonight, but I'm going to bring in my man, Samo. He is here because we've been wanting to do this for such a long time. And then my other guest came in and says, I got fucking thing that I'm campaigning that I want to share on your show. And I said, yeah, come on in. You can stay for the entire show. So I'm going to bring him in too, but I'm going to bring him in later because Samuel is the star guest for tonight. Brother, what's happening?
I finally made it to the Barroom Network. Hey, what's going on, Aldo? It's been a long time getting back here. Aldo gave me my start. Aldo, shout out to you for giving me my start in this podcast world. On the open mic nights. Miss those days. Yeah,
a great idea by Shorty when he was with us, and it really captured what my original intent was with the Barroom, which was just to talk to fans, just to talk, because we know more than Skip Bayless. We know more than Colin Cowherd. We do. I'm not saying that because we're bragging about my fellow fans. We know more, and listening to them is clearly a waste of time. Samuel, how are you, man? How's life treating you?
I'm good, man. Just came from my son's basketball game. They won. He had a hell of a game tonight. So shout out to them.
Nice.
His team.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I hear you about these Bears and those press conferences. Man, I am so down on Rand Poles right now after that press conference. you look for those press conferences to instill some type of confidence or optimism, at least in what the direction. But I came away just feeling like there is no direction, and that Brian Poles just doesn't get it. Like you said, like there's a lack of accountability by Brian Poles, not only from what you stated, but he also failed to take responsibility or take accountability when asked about, the lack of offensive lineman help for Caleb Williams. He put that on Caleb Williams to an extent. He kind of toyed around with the question. And then, I think it was Dan Wiederer that asked him a question, and he was like, what issues, let me see. He asked him, like, what were those issues? What issues are you talking about? Or what, that Caleb's rookie season was subject to disruptions and stress. And Poles asked Dan Wiederer to explain what he's talking about, because obviously he missed it. He didn't know what he was talking about. Like, dude, like this dude went through two coaching changes. He went through, getting beat up every week, being sacked, the second highest sacked quarterback in the league right now. So it's just sad to see that Ryan Poles is he's kind of failing us right now, man. Then he talked about culture. The culture thing got me too. I don't think he understands what culture means a little bit, because he said that culture is people. All right, we have those people. So you telling me that the culture was good in this locker room after losing the game because we had a guy taunting fans in the stands and we could never rebound from that? That's not culture. Culture is a standard. And culture is people adhering to that standard and enforcing that standard. And the more people you have doing that, that's what builds culture. That's when you have a strong team. Like, I don't think he really gets it, man. And that's why I'm kind of down on him right now, man. I'm really down on him, to be honest. Like, I just don't trust him. And I think it's obvious he's a lame duck GM. I think that came out inadvertently because, from Kevin Warren and George McCaskey, they both pretty much said that he's on a 1-year deal. George said he doesn't deserve a new contract, and 1 year is a lifetime to Kevin Warren. So
yeah, you captured it perfectly, brother. My feelings exactly, and I think the feelings of the majority of Chicago Bears fans. He does appear like a lame duck. He is not presenting himself as an authoritative figure. He does not present his plan. And now I understand the realities of the situation. You don't want to give away too much, because you might lose strategically. You might lose. If you give away, for instance, we're going to be targeting the offensive lineman, then everybody knows you're going to be targeting the offensive line. Well, guess what? They know you have to target the offensive line.
I mean, obviously. Right?
So, I'm hoping that he is more football savant than he is a guy that articulates those plans and that thinking and so forth. It's scary to me that he could have potentially fooled the entire search committee, Bill Poley and everybody else involved with that he fooled them to thinking that he was qualified, because if that's the case, then maybe there's some money going on in the background here, Samo. Maybe, Trace Armstrong is saying, hey, let's do it this way. We take care of you. You take care of me kind of shit. And if that's the case, I'm going to start tearing down all that shit behind me, because I can't support a team like that doesn't really care about winning. They care more about selling their tickets to the Lions game. It's like, fuck that.
That was just weird. That was just weird. A weird comment by George McCaskey, who's just turned out to be a weirdo to me. And I think someone asked him if he's going to fire himself, but they should have just been more direct with it. Like, dude, do you think you deserve to be fired? I forgot who asked that question, but it was a great question.
Yeah.
He probably needs to step down, because the team has done nothing since he's been the chairman of this team. So he needs to, look in the mirror, point the thumb, and say, hey, you know what? I'm rich. I can sit back. I don't have to take this crap from everyone. I can just walk around the Packers Stadium and watch the game and sit and watch the game.
Right.
And
That's wild, man. I am before I bring in Shorty, and then we can have a group discussion. He also wants to share an initiative that he started. I want to know more about your podcast. Tell us about your podcast. Tell the audience that's with us now live. I got 320 people across our platforms, and there will be many, many more on demand. Tell them about the podcast that you're co-host on.
Yeah, I'm co-host on Monsters of the Gridiron podcast right now. We also have some other things coming up shortly. You can also find me on X or Twitter, whichever you prefer to call it. I still call it Twitter at Big Samo80. That's BIG Samo80. You see it right here in my little ticker below. Follow me. I just talk Bears, man. I love this stuff, man. It's been a down year. We're not out. There's nothing that we're not used to. And we're
1-0 in 2025. We're 1-0.
I just posted one that at the game. I just had to tell everyone, like, listen, we're undefeated this year. They're looking at me like, what? I was like, it's 2025, baby.
That's right. That's right. You got to look at it that way. Hey, tell me, what is your biggest issue with the Chicago Bears as a football team? Let's put aside talk of Ryan Poles and McCaskey and Warren and them. What is your biggest issue with this team? Is it the offensive line? Is it, the fact that we can't nail the coaching? Just share your thoughts with us.
Man, I just feel like leadership, which is Ryan Poles. I can't get away from him in talking about this. I feel like he lacks due diligence, man. I think that in his decision making, some of the decisions that he's made just make me scratch my head. Now, I see a lot of people saying that, well, he's done a great job. He's transformed this roster. That's a low bar, because we had a terrible roster, and now we have players on our roster. And some of the players he picked, quite frankly, aren't that good. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds had a terrible season this year. I mean, and he's probably the second highest player that he's ever played. I think it's that, and the coaching hire, the decision to hire Matt Eberflus over Dan Quinn, who had just won what was it? Offensive assistant? No, assistant coach of the year is what he was. He was the assistant coach of the year as a defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. He had just won that award the year before, and we were interviewing him for the head coaching job. He had also been to a Super Bowl as a head coach. He's been to a Super Bowl twice as a defensive coordinator. So this guy has done it before. I think that Ryan Poles is a little intimidated by him in that, but there are also other decisions that you could just look at and say that he lacks due diligence, or he brushes over red flags. I think there was a question posed to him during the Washington Commanders week, and they asked him, like, what did you learn? This was on that ESPN 1000. Hey, what did you learn from Kingsbury about Caleb Williams? During that interview process, he says, "What? Well, we didn't talk about Caleb Williams." I'm like, dude, I almost broke the TV. I almost threw something. I'm like, dude, you had a great opportunity to learn something from a guy who has an objective, can be as objective as he wants to be, because he has nothing else to do with USC right at the moment. So he can tell you everything you need to know. And he's also developed a quarterback in Arizona who won Offensive Rookie of the Year, so he would have been, I would just ask him to be as honest as he want to be, nothing leaves this room. And he probably would have told you, hey, I think he's great off script. He's a great quarterback. He has a lot of things that he does well, but he needs to fix his mechanics. He's going to need to fix his mechanics to be a good NFL quarterback. He's going to have to learn to play on script. So we're going to have to design plays to keep him on script, to help him get the ball out of his hand. Like, this is all things that you could have learned from a coach. Like, he's missing opportunities to learn from these coaches that he didn't choose. I mean, even if you don't choose him, that's fine. But you chose a guy whose development plan said that we're just going to throw everything on the table, and he can just do all of this. We can let him do all things and see if he can change the plays. Let's make him look like Peyton Manning out there. That's what we'll do. We'll make him think he's Peyton Manning, let him adjust plays, call the protections, and do all of these things. And he obviously just wasn't ready for that. And then he's asked that question today about, what went wrong, and he's with that hire. He's just like, what did he say? I had to take notes on some of this stuff, man, because I was just like, some of this stuff
Don't
I
blame
want to
you,
write
man.
an article about this. It just blew me. She said something like, well, it was a bad marriage, pretty much is what he said. It's like a bad connection between the two of them. Like they probably shouldn't have been together. He probably shouldn't have paired him with Waldron because Waldron was a guy who was couldn't develop a quarterback, wasn't really ready to develop a quarterback, but he could take a quarterback that's already had some NFL experience and make him a little bit better. I'm just like, no, come on, bro. Like you really botched that hire. So I don't know what gives us confidence that he can make this hire right now. And then you look at all the third round picks that he's made. It's like, and then now the third round picks and lower, third round, those are starters that we're missing out on. And he's missed 3 times straight. He's missed 3 times straight. I mean, I think he's too nice of a guy, to be honest with you. He's I'm a nice guy. I'm soft spoken, but when I have to be assertive, I'm assertive. Like you have to do that. And like he told us he couldn't assert himself. He said something to the effect where, I struggled with this year with speaking up and saying something when someone asked him about leadership and maybe adding leaders to the team. He's like, yeah, I asked some of the other players to step up their leadership this year. And I also told them, like, hey, I even had a problem, speaking up when I said something and not knowing if I should say something. You should absolutely say something, Pose.
Yes.
Because guess what? If you don't say something, we're going to end up losing 10 games in a row. And if we lose 10 games in a row, guess what? You're going to be that lame duck or you're going to be out of here. You should be out of here, to be honest with you. I mean, he is what his record says. I don't care what anyone says. Like, yeah, he got us out of the cap hell. Yes, he did. But what did he do with those cap dollars? He chose to give $23 million to a wide receiver who's on his last limb instead of that's 2 offensive linemen right there and a 4th round pick. So that's 3 offensive linemen we could have had.
Yep. Indeed.
Right? Like stuff like that. And we're signing old players like Kevin Byard when Geno Stone is available for $500,000 less. Geno Stone is a young ascending player. Kevin Byard's on his last leg. It's all, I was like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And if we're going to sign a running back, why not sign one of the best running backs? If we're going to sign a running back to $8 million, go ahead and spend that extra $4 million and get the best running back, one of those top 3 running backs.
Yep.
It's like, I don't understand what we're doing. And right now, it just seems like we lack direction because if we're doing 15 interviews, man, a lot of shit is going to come out. Though after 15 interviews, people are going to trash him so much. Like,
great point. Great point.
So many leaks about, the ineptitude and the issues with this organization. Like, I think that's a bad look for them, and they don't even see what's good, the bad that can come from that. And not only that, then they're saying they're going to have all these internal folks on those calls as well. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why does the business side need to be on these meetings? Like, come on now.
Yeah, and for those people who don't know, this was Polls announced that there were going to be senior vice presidents from the business side of the business, and that were going to be a part of the interviews. And it was all left very vague. And so Kevin Warren was asked about it, and let me find that video. And this is what he said to help elucidate on it.
Expand on the idea of your SVPs being involved, the business side being involved in these interviews, and what type of input are you looking for from them?
I think it'll be some SVP, senior vice presidents, and also some executive vice presidents. I think what it shows is that we just want to have a collaborative organization to provide our individuals, our employees here. A lot of them, like Karen Murphy, one our chief operating officer, but has been here over 20 years. They have insight into the organization. And all these interviews they go both ways. It's not only us interviewing the candidates, but it's the candidates interviewing us. And I want to make sure, I know Ryan wants to make sure that we provide all the opportunities for candidates to ask, questions. So I like the collaborative nature of it, to be able to have them involved in the process at the appropriate time. I know early on it will be a smaller group, as Ryan addressed.
I understand the business philosophy of getting, your top senior vice presidents, people involved in that. But the way it's presented makes it sound like a really fucked up idea. And secondly, is it really, really, really necessary? I mean, those are the things that you do. You find your candidate, you're focused primarily on football. And then once he's hired, you have that head coach meet with the business people, and they explain to him, here's how we marry the football operations with the business operations so that we can present a united front and so forth. To handle it this way is just half-ass backwards. Samo, we are probably covering a lot of stuff that Johnny Santucci is going to cover on his Bear State of Affairs. Let me welcome him in right now. Johnny Santucci, how I love you. Let me count the ways. Unmute.
Samo!
Tooch, how's it going?
Have you guys ever done a show together or interacted together?
Nope. Never.
Look at this. Look at this.
Has Samo seen Bear State of Affairs before?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
I
all right.
Catch it afterwards. Yeah, I usually catch you guys late at night. I put you guys in my ear when I go to sleep at night, man. I'm always I listen to podcasts. Hey, that's what I do, man. I listen. Oh no. In my ear, not in my not in my mind.
So you missed that part, huh?
Yeah. That's the nudity part. Nudity.
Not the visuals, right?
The nudity warning.
Yeah, exactly. People always telling me, you know what? Why are you on Bear State of Affairs? Well, all you need is Johnny Santucci. Let him do his thing. He's also the host of Weekend Sports Betting. He's on the Barfly Tailgate Show. He does so much stuff with the barroom. He truly is the star of the barroom. I'm gonna turn it over to you now, Tooch, so you can do your Bear State of Affairs. I'll roll the video. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right, brother. Let me find it first. There you go.
Everyone on this show's a dog and a loser. Not John. He's the best, except for me. Except for me.
Yeah, Bear State of Affairs. Yeah, ready to cap off the season review. Yeah, this is the closing statement for Bears 2024-25 season. Yeah, Lambeau Field and NFL Week 18. What's happening, Barflies? Well, the Bears played their 17th game of the season. Went to Lambeau Field to play arch rival Green Bay. And with expectations at an historic low for a team whose season can only be aptly described as disappointing, they came away with a win, Aldo. Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Yeah. That was their first win against the Packers since the Matt Nagy era. Yeah. Yeah, victory in Green Bay snapped an 11-game losing streak against the Packers, as well as a 10-game losing streak that started with the Fail Mary in D.C. Yeah, whatever resolutions the Bears made for 2025, one of them was not getting swept by the Packers for another season. Obviously. Yeah, for about 8 months, the Bears could say that they're undefeated in 2025. Yeah. Woo-hoo! Yeah, all taken with all. The victory in Green Bay was a great way to end the season. Yeah, and this rematch was nearly a carbon copy of the game back in November 17th, with the Bears driving down for a last-second field goal to win the game. Only this time, Cairo Santos' 51-yard field goal attempt was not blocked. But Caleb Williams was magic again in the fourth quarter. Again, he would lead the team down the field. He said, quote, "To be able to have that moment was great. Being able to have the first win of 2025, being able to have the first win since 2015 in Lambeau, and to be able to have the first win against Green Bay in 12 games. It's the first of a lot, and I'm really excited about this offseason," said Williams. That's really good. Yeah, that's really good to hear since all season long, the poor kid has been getting killed. Yeah, he was sacked 68 times in his rookie season. Sound the alarm, yeah. So much for the best situation for a rookie quarterback to step into. Yeah, it wasn't all pretty, though. Yep, the Bears led in the first quarter, something they haven't really done at all this season, but they led the Packers while having negative 4 yards of total offense.
Oh, my God.
Something no team has done in over 30 years. Yeah, the Bears' first quarter scoring came out of trick special teams play. It led to a Josh Blackwell 94-yard punt return. The Bears pretty much faked out the entire Packers punt coverage team as DJ Moore pretended to catch the punt, while Josh Blackwell pretended to be a blocker but drifted back to make a nice over-the-shoulder catch and take it the distance up the sideline.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Yep, in the last game of the season, but the Bears coaching staff finally decided to coach, Aldo.
Unbelievable.
Only took 18 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's nice to end the season on a high note. Make no mistakes. The Bears will again enter this offseason while facing an uncertain future. After all, the team will again spend a good part of their offseason searching for a new head coach and filling out that new coach's staff. The Bears held a press conference today to discuss the season search for a new head coach. And already it looks like a complete disaster. The list of candidates up over a dozen now. I'm trying to figure out which press conference was more awkward. This one or the one right after Eberflus was fired.
Yeah. That was a beauty.
This one might have topped it, man. Ryan Poles, he looked like a kid called into the principal's office while answering some tough questions from the Chicago media. Yeah. He had to have stress factors that Caleb Williams endured explained to him. How could you be so oblivious to these things beyond me? And team president Kevin Warren came off as evasive while declining to comment on Poles' future, saying, "A year in this business is a lifetime." You should try being a fan, Kevin. Man.
I'm crying.
Try being a fan. Yeah, leaving Bears fans to speculate that Poles is probably not long for the job. The Bears ownership and upper management also fielded tough questions. Chairman George McCaskey was asked whether contractual alignment between GM and head coach is important in the interview process. McCaskey said, quote, "I don't think that's a factor." Yeah, McCaskey took the football dome a step further. When asked what would happen if a head coaching candidate requested a power structure with a direct line to the owner. When asked if that type of request would be a deal breaker, McCaskey replied, "I haven't ever experienced anyone saying that. Usually they want the job."
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Aldo, let me break this down for you.
Thank you, please.
When you shop in the bargain bin for coaches and hire a Dollar Tree Lovey Smith like Matt Eberflus, he wants the job no matter what. Yeah, when you're hiring a Canadian Football League coach, he wants the job no matter what. Yeah, when you're hiring past their prime coaches like John Fox, they want the job no matter what.
I love
it. When you're hiring first-time coaches like Matt Nagy, he wants the job no matter what.
Obviously.
Yeah. There's a general rule of thumb in sports. The bad teams usually stay bad because of bad ownership. Ownership that's too cheap to spend, too hands-on, or too clueless to understand what's truly going on. Sound familiar? Yeah. Old George was even asked what he thought about the fans at Soldier Field shouting, "Sell the team" at the Seahawks game. His response, quote, "I understand the frustration. We have to get better. The fans, they deserve better." He also remarked upon the fact that there were more Lions fans than Bears fans at the Lions game, and that they were so loud the Bears discussed having to go to a silent snap count. Oh, that's how bad the season got this year.
Ay, Dios mío.
And the team had its second longest losing streak. The team had the second longest losing streak in team history this season, and under the Ryan Poles regime, the team also had the longest losing streak in team history. Ryan Poles saw the locker room mutiny and overthrow the head coach he selected. It's so bad that Bears free agent players are unsure whether they should re-sign with the team.
Oh my God, I didn't see that.
I didn't see that either. Wow.
That's why you watch Bears State of Affairs, man. Yeah. Yeah, team president Kevin Warren said general manager Ryan Poles will lead the search for a new head coach and that he and Poles are looking for a, quote, leader of men. Yeah, but Poles' leash appears dramatically shorter after another failed season. The Bears management team came away from this press conference looking both condescending and surprisingly tone deaf. As well.
Well put.
As well, this week, news came out that Poles and Warren are high on Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores. And Poles has a history of Flores. After all, the two were teammates at Boston College, and Warren used his connections at his former employer, the Vikings, to gain an inside perspective. The Bears fans are said to favor Ben Johnson. And the Monday Night Football game against the Vikings, the Lions' offensive coordinator made Flores look foolish.
Mm-hmm.
After the game, Johnson said, "I play chess, not checkers, Aldo." I think we're in trouble, Aldo. Chess is probably too complicated for Bears management, and checkers probably more complicated. Yeah. Rumors are Ben Johnson wants the job. We know fans want Ben Johnson, but Ryan Poles has reservations. There's a lot of belief that Johnson would push Poles out. And Johnson is said to want Commanders assistant GM Lance Newmark as the GM, whom Johnson worked with in Detroit. In order for Bears and Ben Johnson marriage to work, Johnson needs the Bears to acknowledge and correct their past mistakes and align with the GM with his vision. Yeah, the Bears need Ben Johnson to check all the leadership boxes in the interview. Yeah, team chairman George McCaskey also reiterated that Ryan Poles will be leading the search for the next Bears head coach. So a repeat of the Bears cycle seems imminent. Yeah, to me, Bears fan Tooch talking here in today's NFL, the head coach is more important than the GM, especially if your GM's average at best at drafting. If the Bears don't realize this, then they're going to fuck up getting Ben Johnson because they're too loyal to Ryan Poles. Doesn't make a lot of sense. If the Bears fired Poles, what would they lose? What attributes of his management would be missed at Hallis Hall? Would they really lose anything if he were fired? The first year he had to fix Ryan Pace's mess, but his 3 years of drafts have been underwhelming, and with the number one pick in back-to-back seasons and cap room to sign any free agent on the market, no Bears GM has ever done less with more. Now, these are the kinds of decisions that good franchises get right, but the Bears always seem to get wrong.
Nope.
Yeah. I had another quote here. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Now, news broke today that the Bears made an odd request of Ben Johnson that they didn't ask of any of the other candidates, allegedly because Johnson hasn't interviewed well in the past, and there are doubts as to whether he's a quote-unquote leader of men. Yeah, per well-known Chicago media figure George Hoffman, Chicago's requesting Johnson give the team a leadership plan. Other coaches reportedly have to provide their plan to work with Caleb Williams. That sounds like everything is off to a great start, Aldo.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Wow.
It's unbelievably frustrating to the fans that the Bears management team is so inept. Yeah, with a little over $82 million in cap space and 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, the Bears are still a very attractive job for any incoming coach. Plus, the Bears have Caleb Williams, who as a rookie is putting together a top 5 quarterback season in rookie history. Yep.
Look at that. Nice.
Yeah. And also this.
Caleb Williams' final numbers inside the red zone. 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Wow.
The kid has definitely lived up to expectations. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams ended the year with 30,542 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 489 rushing yards. If you told any Bears fan this in August, they would have been happy with that. To me, the kid's definitely lived up to expectations. He's been incredibly durable, too, starting every game this season.
It's my fault.
Yeah, with countless...
Who's that? What is that? I don't know.
with countless Bears quarterbacks coming and going in the past 30 years, Williams has likely solidified the position for the team. In his rookie season, he's accounted for more yards than any quarterback in team history. Yeah, more total yards. That includes passing and rushing. Wow. Look, Ben Johnson in Chicago could do wonders with Caleb Williams. The big question is whether the Bears will part ways with Ryan Poles in order to get the best coach. Most likely, Ben Johnson goes to Jacksonville and saves Trevor Lawrence's career. Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen goes to New England and develops Drake May, while the Bears go with Brian Flores because he and Poles went to college together.
Jesus.
It's like Ryan Poles and Matt Nagy's wives getting along. Yeah. Most likely, Bears are going to bear. Somewhere out there, Bill Polian and Ernie Accorsi are scratching consultant for Chicago Bears off their resume. And that's the Bears state of the Bears, baby. Woo!
We're finished talking.
That is the great Johnny Santucci. You nailed it again,
Salute to
baby.
you. That was a good one.
Sorry, I killed the Packers' victory mood, though, a little bit.
Nah, fuck that.
It is what it is.
That's right.
A lot of doubt and uncertainty heading into the offseason, and a lot of unnecessary drama.
Yeah. You ain't kidding. And by the way, speaking of doubts, I had doubts about bringing Shorty on when he called me 20 minutes before the show. He says, "Man, I got this fucking idea." Hitting the pipe. I gotta share it with your audience, man. Unmute so we can hear your sound effects there, Shorty.
It just came to me.
It's like I left you a voicemail. I was like, Aldo.
He is one of my new best friends. We met 2 years ago, was it, Shorty? And 3 now. Yeah, time's flying by. He's just such another one of us. He's one of us, passionate Bears fans. And he's got an idea that he wants to throw out there. And then I'm going to let him and Samo and Tooch react to the idea because I already know it. And I've already spoken too much negative shit on the show. So go ahead, Shorty. Go ahead, share your idea, and then the 3 of you guys can talk about it.
First off, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to crash your show. Samo, love and appreciate you. Anyone that hasn't seen what Samo has worded out on Twitter with his amazing articles, basically, you have got to check them out.
Thanks,
love
I appreciate
that.
that.
Excellent job. Tooch, love and appreciate you, man. Excellent state of affairs.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
I was listening in the background, and I have some things I just really want to just go bing, 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 and just so you talked about George McCaskey and the ticket prices. So I went to the Lions game, and I stayed in the. I have a bunch of friends that have season tickets. So one of these I got through the United Club, and those tickets were $402 a piece per ticket, and I was told that they were the ticket prices are now based off of the previous sales. So to piggyback off of what you said earlier, Aldo, if a Bears fan sells those tickets and makes a lot of money, they eventually pay for it in the end by the price of their tickets going up the next season. That's blasphemy. The second thing I wanted to say is, are you guys talking about a leader of men or leader of men?
More like the latter. More like the latter.
A leader. It's a leader, not a leader, right?
Leader.
Okay.
Right.
The second thing I wanted to say is, where are we here? George being such a fan, right? Yet he just repeated the same shit that we heard Caleb say, like after game 2. The leaders on the team should be the leaders of the team, right? Like the leaders of the team are what leads the team. George McCaskey says it himself. It's almost as if like he's listening to the mantra that his own team has been saying, like a fan.
Right.
Okay. And I can't believe that the Bears won, for one thing. I'll just get that out of my head. I can't believe that we just did this and beat the Packers. It's a small victory in a shit storm of shit.
Amazing. Yep.
I want to say that I thought he took 70 sacks, but you said 68, so that's even better. Hey, that's positive, right? I thought it was 70, so it's 68. And yeah, that's it. So
that's hilarious.
So what I wanted to thank you for having me on. Just anyone who watched me just do my own show is going, oh God.
Oh. So they let the cat out of the bag. Arthur did.
Listen. Name the Bears did what with the Trestman era? They overcorrected, and they went out and got John Fox, who went to a Super Bowl, right? So, first off, as I'm continuing on my rant, I want you guys to think of the last head coach that was great, got fired from said team, and was great on another team. Those coaches don't get fired. So overreaching for a previous head coach is not necessarily the answer, in my opinion. Defensive, love Mike Vrabel. Love him. But the last thing that any of us want is a carousel of offensive coordinator, whether it's good or bad. We just saw Waldron get fired when we were like, well, we're going to lose into another team as a head coach in 2 years. No, he got fired. So there's the other spectrum, right? We could lose. The only answer would be Josh McDaniels, because he would never become a head coach anywhere else ever again. He's already failed at that. Like, nobody's giving him that job, right? So it's either Vrabel and McDaniels for me, because that would, be set in stone until it was bad. But other than that, Ben Johnson, listen, he's a leader of men, right? Not a leader. A leader of men. Okay. So, do we really know if he is a leader of men? Like, this word is thrown around a lot right now because we're over compromising this as Bears fans. Like, we weren't talking about leaders of men 2 years ago. We just want a fucking coach, right? We want a head coach.
We're desperate now.
Throw out the leader of men thing. Okay.
But one thing, I think the reason it's come up is because the locker room is in such disarray. Right. Do you remember when Brandon Marshall was telling off Robbie? It's gone back to that. Please go ahead.
And what happened under the Trestman era? What was a bright spot under the Trestman era? Josh McCown. He was.
Jay Cutler loves him.
Cutler went down with the injury. Oh, all of a sudden we find out he's his best friend, right? He's playing probably the best ball he ever played in his entire career. If you ask Josh McCown what his peak was in his career, like at that moment when he felt like an NFL superstar, it was in that brief moment for the Bears when he was kicking the Cowboys' asses up and down the field in that 2 or 3 game span, and then we just go, fuck you, we're putting you back on the bench. We're not going to ride the hot hand. Cutler just made this big contract 2 years ago. He's our starter now. And poof, he's gone. But what has remained consistent about Josh McCown is he's played for 18 different teams, 18 years, 12 different teams. He knows all these offenses that he has collected over the years from all these different coaches. I can list them. I mean, they're not very good. Dave McGinnis, Dennis Green, Rod Marinelli, 0-13. Hey, 0-13 season is a good thing. He's experienced the worst of the worst, right? It builds his character. 08, John Fox, and then he goes to the Bears under Lovie Smith, actually, and then to Mark Trestman, and then he leaves and goes back to Lovie Smith in Tampa Bay. Then he goes to Hugh Jackson with the Browns, Todd Bowles with the Jets, and finishes off with Doug Peterson. My mouth is dry. 1 second. The guy has played in a million offenses. He has been the outspoken guy in the room who has had the charisma and the karma to help build his quarterback rooms. He knows football. He knows quarterbacks. I know he is only a quarterbacks coach right now. I know. I understand that. But if you could just sit here and go, I kind of posed this on my show earlier. If you could redo the Patrick Mahomes draft, you'd take Patrick Mahomes first, right? Even if you were the Browns, right? So what happens in 2 or 3 years? Because we're sitting here saying McCown has never been an offensive coordinator, we can't possibly make him a head coach, even though he has a huge resume in the NFL as being a leader on every team he's been on. He's been the coach, basically, of his starting quarterback for how many seasons? He's been the guy that's been right behind the starting quarterback. He is a Kevin McConnell. Kevin McConnell never called plays. O'Connell never called plays for, was it Sean McVay? Never called plays for him, but he was the offensive coordinator. So Let's add Mike Ditka never called plays. Dan Campbell never called plays. There's lots of players that have been coaches that have never called plays. So here's my thought. Sign Josh McCown right now to be our head coach, only because you're going to get stuck in another. Right now we're in a lame duck cycle with Ryan Poles as a lame duck general manager. They're going to get a head coach. Doesn't like Ryan Poles. Poles is going to get fired. New general manager. He's not my head coach. Blah, 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 blah. Right. So rather than, he also fits the mold, McCown, of the McCaskies, because he's not going to want $16 million a year like Ben Johnson, who has never played in the NFL. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, has not. So for me, I would rather take a chance on a guy who is an up and coming head coach, and because your coaching cycle window is right now to hire him, screw it. Let's just bypass that and put all our faith. For me, this is my opinion. Sure. All our faith in a guy like him that, in my opinion, is on the verge of becoming the next Jim Harbaugh type coach. The quarterback who understands Jim Harbaugh was, say all you want about him, but he was a kind of a squirrely guy. But McCown, he commands the room a little bit more even than Jim Harbaugh ever did. So he's on the verge of becoming a head coach. It's just not going to be in our window because we're going to get this wrong. And so let's just get it right and say, screw it. We don't need him to be OC. Let's sign him right now as our head coach and take our chance. Because name me a head coach that you can't overreach on a McCarthy. You can't overreach on maybe a Vrabel, like I said, if they got a Josh McDaniels, because they're not going anywhere. But you can't bring even Josh McCown in as an OC and then lose him. Because then look what happened with Vrabel. He lost his job. Why? Because LaFleur went to the Packers. Ultimately. So we don't need that. And so that is my pitch, my bare state of affairs on my pitch for Josh McCown as head coach. I'm done.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Thanks for having me, guys. Good night.
Boom.
Very well done, Tooch. All right, so here's the deal. I am going to step aside, and I want Samo and Tooch to just fucking drag your dick through the dirt.
Dirty dick. You're gonna get dirty.
Dude, I got fucking TKO'd by my own chat tonight and TJ.
There's just one problem.
I have a rebuttal for everything. Go ahead.
He's not on the Bears list.
He's not.
I know he never will be. He's not. That's my point. This is just my. I'm not going to be happy with any hire, unless it's him. That's me. Because I don't see. All I see is the meddling of. Did you guys see
I
the
would
task
consider him an offensive coach.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
That's what I think I said in Bears State of Affairs. The coach has now become more important than the GM.
Yep.
And offense is now more important than defense in today's NFL. We used to say defense wins championship. I don't think so anymore. I think that's the teams that have offensive. Everybody's looking for. You have to hire someone like a Ben Johnson, whether he's a leader of men or not, because you can hire a defensive coach and every year have a new offensive coordinator, which is what we've experienced with the Bears for I don't know how many years now. Look at the teams that are in the playoffs. You have the Ravens, the Bills, the Rams. These are all teams with really good offensive systems and coaches, offensive minds. The Buccaneers had a hell of an offensive season this year as well. They're in the playoffs. Washington, the Commanders with Cliff Kingsbury leading the. I know they have a defensive head coach, but it's basically been offensive teams. The Chiefs did it all with defense this year. They won a lot of close games. They had it all with defense. But for the most part, it's been offenses. The Lions scoring 34 points a game, giving up 27 to 30 along the way. Vikings had a good defense until the end of the season, and it's been their offense until that last Monday night game where the wheels kind of came off the offense. I mean, they were down in the red zone on that Sunday night game. I don't know how many times, 5 times it came out 9 points, so that made a bit of a difference in that game. I think it would have that would have been like a 31-27 game or 34 to something game, but instead it ended up becoming a Lions blowout. Lions got some players back on defense and held them down. But the Bears have to realize these things that in today's NFL offensive system, coaches are more important than GM. So I mean, to me, Ryan Poles is expendable, guys.
So you're making a case for Josh McCown then?
Well, I'm fine with it. I think at this point,
someone in my corner.
My main thing right now has been do the Bears? I said in Bears, do the Bears have the gumption, the intelligence, the wisdom to realize that the coach is more important than their GM, who arguably hasn't drafted well? His player personnel choices have been terrible. You look back at players like Claypool and Nate Davis. There's a lot of money hung up in 5 players. I think Keenan Allen, Nate Davis, Montez Sweat, DJ Moore, and I forget the other one. But it's like 5 players that are, Nate Davis isn't even on the roster anymore.
Right.
Keenan Allen is set to become a free agent. So really, it's like a lot of money tied up in a few players, and that to me hasn't been wise cap management for Ryan Poles. And I mean, that press conference, Samo, he looked like a little kid up there, man. I was like, this guy he's so awkward. It's just like, I just don't think he's mature enough to be the GM of a storied franchise like the Bears. You need someone, a wheeler and deal. I forget. I want to say Sonny from draft day, but
right?
I mean, we need a guy like. I mean, look, all the season we heard about how there was no leadership. There's no leadership from Eberflus. There's no leadership from Poles. The coach reflected the GM. They both were duds. There's milquetoast duds.
So what you're saying is you're in on McCown then?
McCown or Ben Johnson or Joe Brady.
One
Joe
down.
Brady,
Follow
Liam
me, guys. Come on, Sam.
a
What do you
lot
got?
of yes men up there. I've heard this idea already.
It's definitely thinking outside the box. Which
He was interviewed by he's been scheduled to be interviewed by the Jets. That means nothing, but at least it's saying a team feels the same way I do.
Yep.
First of all, I absolutely agree with Tooch. Like, this is an offensive league now. I'm like, dude, you're not winning games 17-20 every week. That's what, Mike Tomlin's thinking he's going to. That's why Tomlin's only won 1 playoff game in the last 11 years. He's trying to win games 17-20, and, you just can't do that. You have to have an offense that's able to score. Right now, 9 out of the top 10 scoring offenses are in the playoffs. The only one that's out of the playoffs are the Bengals, who just lost a couple close-score games. So you have to be able to score if you want to be competitive in this NFL. Just where I feel like we have to get an offensive guy.
The Bengals could have been in there if the Chiefs had just played the game with their starters. The Bengals would be in there.
Yep. They didn't want that smoke. They didn't want that smoke.
Yep. I mean, the Broncos, I think, were in no matter what. If they lost, the Broncos were still in the playoffs.
Yep. So I feel like the more I think about it, we have to get some continuity on offense. We have to get someone who can develop Caleb. And that person has to be able to establish an offense, and we must maintain that continuity. We can't have a guy come here 2 years and then leave, and then the wheels fall off all over again.
Yeah.
Just because we got Mike Vrabel, who's this savior, who's this hard ass leader. No, we need a guy who's gonna get this offense on point. And I remember the stories about Josh McCown. The Bears signed him. He was coaching his high school football team, and the Bears signed him. He comes here. And he's in training camp in the
so he's got
dorm room lobby.
You're saying he's got head coaching experience. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, he's in the dorm room lobby coaching up the entire team, and Trestman doesn't know he's doing this. I remember this story vividly. It was just like, man, they're coming to the lobby. We're just going to check on the players, make sure everyone's in there, and he's coaching. He's at the whiteboard out. He's coaching all the players so that they're prepared for the game for practice tomorrow. That's leadership. That's leadership right there. And like you say, he has a wealth of knowledge. He's been with all these other offensive coordinators. He hasn't had that opportunity to call plays on his own, but we've seen that happen before too. We've seen people be successful having not called plays before, and he probably doesn't have to call plays. Maybe he gets a good offensive coordinator. Maybe he's worked with someone who he's confident in who can call plays. So, I mean, he's worked, but the fact that he's worked with a bunch of different
So many.
coaches tells
Yep.
me he has a good network. He has a good
Thank you.
network of coaches that he knows.
Words out of my
And
mouth.
I'm with Tooch. Like the coaching situation is probably the most important thing for this job. And it's not just the head coach, it's all of the position coaches as well, because we have to develop players. That's the other problem with this team. We don't develop players. And so I think he's extremely intriguing. I like the idea, do I trust the Bears to be able to go out and then just, hear him out and understand, his plan, because maybe he has to create a leadership plan too, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard, but maybe he has to present a leadership plan. I think he's being an ex-quarterback. I think that's good for Caleb. I think, like we said, he knows offenses. Yep. We need that offensive guy. I think he is a leader. He's played the game, so he's going to command that respect, and I think he can be assertive. So I'm not opposed to the idea at all.
No.
If you're not getting Ben Johnson, I'll take Josh McCown, man.
Wow, I can't believe I was totally expecting to just get shut out of the sky here like I did on my own show. Look at Aldo is making fun of me.
Well, I mean,
Aldo's
right. I'm making fun of
you.
It would totally fit with Bears, because they do stuff like this. So, like, look, we could probably get McCown as our head coach for cheap.
That's right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's right. So this decision, as Kevin Warren said at the other press conference, is going to impact the team for the next 10 to 15 years. So let's entrust the head coach position to a fucking hairdresser. I'm just kidding. Here's what I really think. I think you should definitely interview him. You have to, because he could be what everything that Shorty has said and Tooch and Samo are supporting. I don't have a problem with interviewing him and asking him tough questions. And I know that players loved him when he was with the Bears. Jay Cutler loved him and so forth. So to answer the question, leader of men, I think that's partly answered.
Definitely checks the box there.
Exactly. Now, it is different to be a leader of men on the offense than it is to be a leader of men on the defense. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
So that's what he would have to come in here and say. This is
why a lot of people wanted Jim Harbaugh.
Right.
Past the off season.
Right.
He played the quarterback position, and he's the leader of men.
Right. It was Trestman that let Lance Briggs go to San Francisco for the opening of his barbecue restaurant on the first day of camp, right? That's where he fucked up. That's where he fucked up, because everybody else is fucking first day at camp, running around, doing tests and so forth. And they're like, why isn't Lance here? Oh, he's fucking opening his restaurant? Fuck you.
He's like, how can I get out of that first day of practice, man? I got a barbecue restaurant. I got to be there.
That's right.
Lance knew he could get away with it.
Brisket ain't going to make itself, Aldo.
What were you going to say, Shorty?
Lance knew he could get away with it because of his Lamborghini crash that he left the site of under Levy's.
Right? Never heard anything else about that, right?
Yeah, I've always wondered about that guy then, because it was fucking clear that he ran away from the scene of a crime. It's like, dude, I take it hard to believe when he is doing some commentary and talking about responsibility and accountability. Wait a minute, weren't you the guy that fucking left your Lamborghini after you crashed it going 120 miles an hour? No, it's a good idea, Shorty. I will give you that. He definitely should be brought in for an interview. I've always liked the guy, and I think most Bears fans do. It could be, from a PR perspective, it could be a brilliant move. So not a bad idea, Shorty.
Ex-Bear, he knows the ownership. He's been around, the wealth of knowledge he has from all different coaches and offensive systems he's learned, and the type of playbook he could put together. And like you said, Samo, he doesn't have the wealth of knowledge of coaches he knows that he could have a young offensive mind that could be the offensive coordinator. And if he leaves, it's still his system because he is the coach.
Yep.
I love that you guys are actually on board with this because I got shot out of the sky.
You have to get rid of this GM, man. He's awful. That press conference where it was like, all these, the Chicago media was hitting him with like, with all the bad things that happened this season and all the struggles that Caleb Williams had to go through. He's like, can you elaborate on that? It's like, how could you be that tone deaf to not know, all the mistakes that you made?
That's like
no offensive line. You drafted a punter in the 4th round, and it was a luxury pick. A wide receiver at 9 overall when we needed offensive line help. You could have traded back, you could have gotten Lad McCaskey in the 2nd round, man. It's like we didn't need. We needed offensive line help. He spent. It was the second least amount of money spent on an offensive line. You get what you pay for in a rookie's development season. If you would have had a strong offensive line, I mean, Caleb Williams had great numbers this season. I flashed them all up there. Imagine if he had a good offensive line, we would probably win a lot more of those close games.
And now we're a year behind the ball on that, and we're never going to rebuild that offensive line in 1 year. If we would have started last year at least, we could. We're forced to keep Tevin Jenkins. We have to. We can't.
Think so.
We can't replace
I don't know.
that many players in one draft.
And we can fix
You
this
have to
offensive
spend
line
money
every year.
on free agency. Like
We have $80 million. You get 3. You can get 3 offensive linemen with $80 million. You get 3 and you draft 1. That's what you just have to do. You have to bite the bullet.
The owners hired Ryan Poles, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what they're looking at. I mean, Barroom could draft better than this guy. Flashed up his drafts. Look at that, man. It's just a lot of misses.
A lot of misses.
Look at that.
A lot of misses. Roshan Johnson in the 4th. There's nothing special about Roshan Johnson in the 4th.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, Zach Taylor he went to another team though, wasn't? You can't count him on there.
It's a miss for
red
us.
processes doesn't matter.
I'm just concerned about the misses for us. Like there's not. I mean, Darnell Wright's a good pick. Gravon Dexter's a good pick. Caleb Williams was a no-brainer. After that, there's not much. Not much. Tyrique Stevenson can really tackle, man. He's heads not in the game all the time.
I think he's a good player. I really like Tyrique Stevenson. And I think he's a really good cornerback, man. I think he needs some discipline. Yeah, he lacks discipline, and there's no leader. You can't tell me the Bears have leaders on their team, man, because no one checked him all year long. We got Cole Kmet saying, hey, going on this CHGO platform saying, hey, guys are missing practice or they're not doing this and not doing that. Cole, why are you telling us this shit? Tell those guys that. And if you don't want to be direct and go to those guys, it's nothing to just stand up in a meeting and say, hey, I'm noticing, a lot of guys cutting corners. And we're losing close games. We're losing those games at practice because we're failing to finish reps in practice. We're failing to finish reps in the weight room. Like, man, call guys out and just say it that way. And you don't have to say names at that moment and just say, hey, I don't want to say names right now, but if I have to, if it keeps up, if we don't hold each other accountable, then I will the next time. Like, come on. That's leadership, not coming to us and telling us that this is happening. And I don't want to hear that shit. Personally, I don't want to hear it because it just pissed me off to hear that. Like, come on, man, don't tell us that. And you're here missing plays. He couldn't be a leader on the team. You can't be that leader because of missing the plays that you're missing on the field as well. So, it's hard to go out and check people when you've gotten paid and you're missing blocks and dropping passes and, in critical situations of the game too. So you have to check yourself too and hold yourself accountable and stand up and say that to the team.
Exactly. Exactly. So, if I was Ryan Poles, I would resign because I'm hurting the team. I've drafted that shittily. My drafts have been so horrible that I would resign.
Yeah. See, that's a nice fucking job. I don't know if I would do.
I know, but
I would say, hey, I fucked up. I got to get better.
At a minimum.
Yeah, that was the premise of the first 30 minutes of the show is go up there and say, I fucked up. I'm here to admit that I fucked up, and I am going to work harder, better, and smarter to fix my mistakes.
And that's the problem with the Bears. Because they hire guys that it takes them 3 years to get up to fucking speed.
Exactly. Exactly.
I made 3 years of mistakes. Meanwhile, the team sucks and the fans suffer.
Yeah, exactly. Like Matt Nagy, he could potentially end up being a great head coach, but we hired him too early. He only called plays for 6 games. He really wasn't the offensive coordinator. He should have developed more under Andy Reid before we even considered hiring him.
And he still took us to the playoffs 2 times in 4 years.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, give Vic Fangio a lot of credit for that first season. Hey, guys, Keith asked a question. Should the NFL get involved in potentially advising the Chicago Bears? You need to sell because you're one of the charter franchises. You're the 3rd largest market that we have. We need a good team, and this shit isn't working. Well, it was interesting at the press conference today.
Great if they could do that.
Yeah, it would be nice if they could. It would be smart, but I don't know if they can do that. So George McCaskey was asked about how he evaluates himself. Does he ever take some time to think about it? And is there a succession plan? Listen to this answer here from George McCaskey, the chairman of the Chicago Bears.
George, how often do you reflect on your own performance as chairman? Do you, ever think about that maybe someone else should be stepping into that role? How long do you plan on staying in this role? Is there a succession plan?
Ultimately, I'm responsible for the failures of the Bears. The legacy of George Halas is excellence on the field and making a difference off the field. I think the Bears have done a great job off the field, making an impact in the community. The fact of the matter is, we haven't done it on the field, and ultimately, that's on me.
When your team sucks as bad as our team, we don't fucking give a shit about helping the community, doing the Make-A-Wish thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound
That's all great
and stuff.
Right. It's window dressing.
I would not even have brought that up. I would have been honest about it. We do have a succession plan. We're not ready to announce it yet. I have reflected on my past performance. I'm not happy and I'm not proud about it. Why not answer the question that way as opposed to bringing up George Halas's fucking, legacy and so forth? You have nothing to do with George Halas's legacy. All you have done is tarnish the legacy of the great Chicago Bears team. Fuck you, George.
Everyone's so tone deaf over there. Okay, look. George McCaskey has hired Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren, they bought Arlington Park, and he wants to do something on the lakefront that they will have zero control over. It'll still be the city of Chicago taking all the revenue from concessions or whatever property, property taxes. It doesn't make any sense. And then, to me, I think it's Mark Potash or someone today tweeted that Kevin Warren is a charlatan. He's just taking the Bears' money. He's like stretching this out. Stretching out the stadium, getting the stadium deal done. You have Arlington Park. Build the freaking stadium. Build a casino. Build the restaurants. Build the bars. Build the Halas Hall Museum. Build everything and make money off of it. There's
print money.
Yeah, there's a fucking metro stop right there. You're
exactly
10 minutes from O'Hare.
It's a gold mine. This is Kevin Warren.
Hotel. Build a hotel.
Samo, I want to get your thoughts because I know you want to jump in on this. But this is Kevin Warren talking about the stadium, and then Sam will jump in.
You've been here unofficially for 2 years.
20 months.
Yeah, 20 months. What is the status of the stadium? Is downtown still the focus? Is Arlington Heights, and when are we going to see momentum?
Yeah. So the status is downtown still remains the focus. The museum campus. I feel that we've made a massive amount of momentum. Again, I've been here 20 months, and we've made great progress. But along with those lines, we own 326 acres of beautiful land in Arlington Heights. It's a fantastic piece of property. We were able to get the memorandum of understanding done there. And so optionality, does exist, but I'll remain steadfast that the goal is to make sure that we have shovels in the ground in 2025, and I'm confident that will happen.
What exactly is the progress and momentum you speak of with the stadium search? Because it doesn't seem like there's been a ton of that.
Yeah, I mean, when you say it doesn't seem like that, I mean, we have stadium meetings every single day. And so from a political standpoint, from a business standpoint, These things are massive projects. I've been here before in Minnesota. This is not buying a house where you go and find it and you put a deposit down and then you close at a certain day. It's so many different things that come together. And I think as you'll see, especially as we get into the spring and summer, you'll start seeing some of this progress that I'm talking about now. But I feel the momentum is really moving in the right direction. And we're exactly, from a stadium standpoint, right exactly where I thought we would be.
Samuel, help me understand what he just said there.
And he just skated around the question and what he just said.
That's what
he just did. Where's the momentum? If you have some momentum, and they doubled up on the question. They followed up and asked, tell us what the momentum is. We have meetings every day about the stadium. That's momentum. Like, since when? When does that become momentum? Like you said, you have this property at Arlington Heights. I, for one, wanted the stadium to remain in Chicago just because of the nostalgia of it always being in Chicago. I just thought that that's where it should be. But the more and longer that this goes on, it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, you're not going to get the dollars from the state. The state's not giving any money. You're not going to get any money from the state. You have this property. Go forward with what you originally planned to do and just get it done. You need something positive after this bad, terrible season. You need some positive news. And that was the perfect opportunity to say, you know what? We've thought about it and we're going to go back to Arlington Heights. And, you guys are going to be hearing something extremely soon about, the progress that we're making. And the decision is to move forward with Arlington Heights and leave it at that.
Tooch, put on your glasses upside down and your hats backwards, guys. Wear your jerseys backwards because we're a backwards ass team.
Yep.
And we might as well reflect that as a fan base.
I mean, look at the last stadium the Bears built. They built their stadium around frickin' colonnades. Because people love some frickin' columns. It's tremendously
Tooch,
stupid.
do it. Join us, Tooch.
Tremendously stupid. Just I don't know if I'll be able to see much without it. But
I gotta tell you right now, it's really fucking with my high.
Yeah.
After smoking a couple of joints and doing this, I'm really like, I got progressive lenses, so now
I know, right? That's
I can't do it.
But I mean, we retrofitted a stadium because of some freaking columns. How stupid is that? And then it became. Very quickly became the smallest stadium in the NFL.
85 plus million left on it too, and it's been paid 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago, they
still owe 85 million on it.
It was 89 million, I think, a year ago. It's got to be at least around. One would think 85, right?
They're still paying on it. It's like
that's a damn shame.
He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. On all fronts, on the business side, on the football side, man, we're just. Today's press conference was just depressing.
Yeah, it's horrible. Arlington Heights can for sure host a Super Bowl.
Oh,
no question. 326 acres, and you could easily fit 2 or 3 luxury hotels there.
Oh, God. You could
easily.
Like Greg Gabriel said, print money.
Yeah. And you could put a casino, some bars, some top restaurants, and shopping.
Oh, God. They could just gold mine.
Yeah, Final Four, Super Bowl, whatever you want there.
Tooch, you know about the Muggs Hallis story, right?
Oh, I just heard the story.
I think I just heard it too, but you'd have to refresh me a little bit.
Muggs Hallis passed away in 1979 of a heart attack. Later on, George passed, and the team went to Virginia and the McCaskies. Essentially, Virginia and the McCaskies wrote Muggs Hallis' children out of the will. His son Stephen and his daughter, I forget her name. And Muggs Hallis was basically the architect of the 85 Bears. He hired Jim Finks, Jerry Venisi, all those guys that put him in charge. Dropped dead of a heart attack in 79. Well, after being written out of the will, his children and his ex-wife got together and took the McCaskies to court. And somehow in this process, they had his Muggs Hallis body exhumed. This is all true. I'm just spitting out facts. His body exhumed, and they found all of his organs had been replaced with sawdust.
Ay, Dios mío.
Ay, Dios mío. And the coroner at the time said, we don't do that. We always put the organs back just in case we need to exhume the body like this and do another autopsy. And that and then the story just goes poof. So it begs the question: why do they? I'm not saying anything necessarily nefarious went on, but why did they write the Muggs Hale's children out of the will? That's the question I want to know. Why would you write his children out of the will? And then McCaskey's take ownership, basically Virginia, but also the McCaskies, right? Her husband and their children, and everyone goes Ivy League schools, and nobody knows how to run a fucking football team. You inherit this mogul of a business, and you don't know how to run it. It's this should be at the very least Stephen Hallis's team.
The Bears, the McCaskies aren't selling the team until the stadium is built. They're not selling it before any stadium is built, because once the stadium is built or stadium complex in Arlington Heights is built, the team will be at its peak value. So they're not selling before then. So we're stuck with the frickin' McCaskies.
And I thought there was
Aldo said at the beginning of the show, or sometime during the beginning of the show, that he never felt that McCaskey, the ownership, was really at fault. They're stay out of the way. But now it's like, look at the people they hire. And they want all these business, non-football people in on the interview. Who gives a fuck if you're a head coach? I don't want to talk to some chick who's senior vice president and been there for 20 years.
Yeah,
I want to talk football.
Why isn't this should only be on Ryan Poles? Not. Do you see the list that's involved in this? Poles, Warren,
Poles should be fired.
Some other guy, Jerry Feinstein.
Poles should be fired and a new GM hired.
If a guy comes in and interviewing for the head coaching job and he asks you about business, hey, what's going on the business side? And he's not the guy for the job right there. He's not the guy for the job. Like, dude, you're here for the football operations side. Focus there. That's where your focus should be.
Poles
you
cannot judge talent.
No,
but no matter how you look at it, this should be Poles' hire. It should not involve anyone else. It goes Warren, McCaskey, Jerry Feinstein or something, who was part of the group that they find people with, whatever you call that.
Feinstein is his name?
Feinstein, Jerry Feinstein, and then there's a female name in there. They're all these people are involved in the coaching hire.
Yeah, I got
unnecessary.
I got a soundbite that I'd like to share with you about that, because Poles brought it up that part of the search committee is going to have these business leaders, and so this is what Warren said about it.
Expand on the idea of your SVPs being involved, the business side being involved in these interviews, and what type of input are you looking for from them?
I think it'll be some SVP, senior vice presidents, and also some executive vice presidents. I think what it shows is that we just want to have a collaborative organization to provide our individuals, our employees here. A lot of them, like Karen Murphy, one our chief operating officer, but has been here over 20 years. They have insight into the organization. And all these interviews they go both ways. It's not only us interviewing the candidates, but it's the candidates interviewing us. And I want to make sure, I know Ryan wants to make sure that we provide all the opportunities for candidates to ask, questions.
So what does that mean? Is a candidate going to say, hey, what's going on with the business aspects of reaching out to the communities? I don't give a shit about that. They don't.
The only person who should be there is a contract negotiator and whoever administers the benefits package, like health insurance for the employee.
The HR.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's it. And that after he's been hired.
Yeah,
like exactly. I said, hang up the phone if they start asking about the business part.
Yeah.
But I do have a theory though. So Aldo, I watched you and Greg Gabriel's show all the time, right?
Okay.
And Greg Gabriel was adamant about football relations and business relations not mixing at Hallis Hall. We just heard completely different from the horse's mouth from Kevin Warren there, right? So maybe the Sears Tower handle is one of those business side folks up there who's listening in on the other side and getting some information and asking questions and being fed some information, and then he's just popping the information. If it's not one of those people, maybe it's one of their kids that's asking questions. It's like it could be a legitimate handle, is what I'm saying. To me
Okay.
now it picked up some sting for me. I'm like, I'm gonna start listening a little bit more.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's, I actually kind of publicly bashed the guy because I think Sears Tower speaks in such generalities that everything can be proven. It's like a lot of con men will throw shit out there and then something will stick. But the way they phrase it, they give themselves an out. And that's what I was detecting with them. But you're making a good point, is that it could be one of the kids of the consultants. Yeah, this is what we're doing and so forth. And they have no idea that Billy, the 16-year-old Billy, is going back to his room. And then after he jerks off on some porn, he's putting up all this shit about the Bears and stuff. I mean, that's what I would do. Fucking A, right, Shorty? And Shorty's agreeing like, yeah, I'll jerk off too.
I mean, as far as Warren is concerned, I can't read the room as far as I don't know whether he's like saying, well, we're focused on the lakefront just to get what he wants out of Arlington Heights.
Yeah, because he didn't.
Cook County Tax Board.
In the end, he said we'll have shovels in the ground in 2025. He didn't say on the lakefront. He just
didn't say where, right?
Yeah, I mean, he could just be using it for leverage, but I mean, 20 months seems like an awful long time to have nothing happen.
Especially considering his press conference about how we need to get this going now because the price of everything is going to rise and it's just going to cost us X amount much more. 6 months from now and a year from now and blah blah blah. You could already be working on the damn.
We're gonna get a whole bunch of timber from Greenland.
So much already started at Arlington right now. If they would have just done it.
Hey, I want to address a couple of the questions. During your State of Affairs, Cliff asked, was that Sanborn post really his?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Hold on.
I did see that too, Tooch.
Yeah, I had not seen that.
I wondered if it was real.
So.
Yeah.
I think I clicked on it and said it was like about how many followers you would expect Jack Sanborn to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, if he's having doubts, what does that tell you about the people who are leading the Bears organization?
Maybe he's just trying to gauge how the fans feel about him.
What about the comments from Kyler
If he
Gordon?
doesn't know, I mean, people love a kid that was an undrafted free agent that was basically a college walk-on.
Yeah, right.
Comparatively a college walk-on. He walked on and made the Bears. A kid. He's from Lake Zurich, Illinois.
Yep. Similar to those comments from Kyler Gordon as well, though, towards the end of the season, where he was talking about, this being his youth right now. He's not going to be as athletic or as strong as he is right now, and he feels like he's wasting his career with a team that's just not built to win, that's not really doing what it takes to win games. So I think maybe Jack Sanborn is feeling the same way. Yep.
One of the few bright spots that polls has drafted to Kyler Gordon.
That's the one I give him. That's the one I give him.
Darnell Wright is a good player. Javon Dexter is a good player. Caleb
Brisker, and when healthy.
Yeah, and Brisker, by all accounts, should be back next season. But I mean,
but they have to get superstars, right? And Gordon looks like he's on his way to being there if he could stay healthy and play 16, 17 games a year. I think he's going to be a superstar. But aside from that, I'm not 100% convinced Caleb is going to be there. Caleb has all the physical traits to be a Patrick Mahomes. But what I saw this year, the inaccuracy problems, the lack of reading defenses, interim coach Thomas Brown said that they had some heart-to-heart talks, and he really brought the challenge to him. And so you don't think that, he wasn't telling him you can't park your car over there. He was telling him you're fucking missing wide open passes, dude.
Yeah, that's a lack of discipline. That's what I think. That's where his issue is going to be. He's going to be his own worst enemy. He lacks discipline to play within the offense. He wants to go big game hunting all the time. He doesn't have that big arm, and he gets locked on one receiver. Take what the defense gives you, and let's move on. Let's move the ball, matriculate the ball down the field. He doesn't get that yet. I think that's probably where
that'll come.
They butted heads. And that's why I feel like that's why we have to have a offensive mind who's had some success, who Caleb is going to respect too. Like, I think that's important. That he has to he has to respect the next offensive mind that comes in, whether it be an offensive coordinator or if it's going to be the head coach. He has to respect that person, or else he's just going to go off and do his own thing and try to be Superman again. And that's
look at how the season started for him. Waldron basically treated him like he was a veteran and put all this on his plate, where he was going out there and calling motions to figure out what the defense was in before he called the play.
Caleb wasn't allowed to audible out of plays either. Thomas Brown said that as well.
He put all that on him, and then it all got like basically stripped back down to a more just a simple game compared to what was he was being thrown Madden All Pro, before he had gone through Madden Rookie to get to All Pro. And then he kind of went down to Madden, Pro by the time, Thomas Jones took over. So the fact that he was able to do what he did with all that shit that happened to him this year, from it being way too much to then maybe not enough, we need to find that guy like Josh McCown to find that balance.
Yep.
You wouldn't flash that one back up there, Aldo. I didn't like it. I would rather have Brian Thomas Jr. I even said on the show, I like the separation.
Brian Thomas
look at beast. Odunze had a beautiful catch on the sideline where both of his toes were down in this past game. Man, that was beautiful.
Nice.
It's nice.
I'll be honest.
There's still potential, but Ladd McConkey and Malik Neighbors were the two best route runners in the draft. Brian Thomas Jr. had the most separation, man. I mean, watch LSU football, man. He was 5 to 7 yards of separation in the SEC.
Yep.
Our Bickham's talking about me, though, so I'll shut up because he's talking about me. I
watched Rome Odunze. He was blanketed every time.
He's a 50-50 guy. He was a 50-50 guy, and we didn't throw him many 50 passes this year.
Yeah.
We didn't throw him any. We draft players, and then we don't allow them to do what we drafted him for. Like, he was good at 50-50 balls. He was more like a 90-10 guy, to be honest. We didn't throw him 10 50-50 balls all season. Like, we draft a Zach Pickens, and he was a penetrator, and then we decided to put him at nose tackle. He's not even strong enough or big enough to play nose tackle. We draft a two-gapper guy and Javon Dexter, and we tell him that we want you to be that guy that can penetrate now. But you have to learn to keep your pads down and fire off the ball. It's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we drafting guys at what they're and asking them to do what they're not good at? Like, that's the dysfunction that's going on up there to me. Then between drafting and coaching. That's why I asked Greg Gabriel, like, hey, do the coaches talk to the scouts about develop and have to come up with development plans? Because if that's the case, then there should be more accountability for coaching, because coaches are failing because they're not any defensive lineman, any offensive lineman. The only position that's been developed are the DBs, and that's because of John Hoke. But every other position on the roster, no one's being developed. We're just bringing guys in, and either they can play or they can't play in this league.
It was even apparent in this last game because look, they didn't let Caleb Williams throw deep. You know who they let throw deep in this game? Keenan Allen. They didn't care. Caleb, you can't throw deep, but here let's have a wide receiver pass and let him throw deep.
Let him throw deep. And then what he did immediately afterwards, it just lets me know that I want nothing to do with him coming back. He's put his hands in his pocket right after he threw the interception, and he starts jogging towards the sideline. And then he's like, oh, wait, this guy's still running. Let me try to catch him a little bit. Like, I just threw an interception.
Hey, before we go on, I have to say something. The whole idea that, what Bickham said and Shorty being a man and admitting that he wanted Rome Odunze, I'm glad you did that, but get the fuck out of here, Shorty. Say goodbye and get off of my fucking show. No, he sent me a message saying he had to blow. So that's Shorty. Tell us what's going on over at Bears Country Productions, and anything else you want to plug, or if you want to say hi to somebody special, if you got a nice big-titted blonde woman that you want to send over to Arlington Heights or Iowa, according to Tucci's reaction.
If I did, I wouldn't say it on this show. My wife might be watching.
Put it in the private chat, right?
We listen, I want to thank you for having me on tonight, just and on a whim, just texting you like literally an hour before the show. But appreciate you, Aldo.
You got
Love
it,
you
brother.
guys. You guys are awesome. You guys, great show. Samo, Tooch. Sorry to hijack your show. I'm really impressed that you guys were actually agreeing with me on the McCown thing, because I was expecting complete and utter kickback, and I was ready for it. And yeah, so I want to thank you.
Brian Flores, or what's the other defensive coordinator? Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, at
I
least
kind of like Aaron Glenn, though. I mean, he seems to be like a really good leader of men. But I just think with the defensive guy, you're going to end up having the offensive coordinators, revolving door every year with offensive coordinators, and that's not going to help Caleb Williams.
Wait, a leader of men or a leader of men?
Hey, Shorty, before you go,
if you're giving out a leader, man, you got something wrong with the plumbing down there.
Before you go, your podcast producer Carl has been talking nothing but Joy Taylor. Do you have any thoughts about the whole Joy Taylor scandal before you leave? And are you
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, but walking around money for Skip Bayless, so that was a little bit of a revelation.
Right.
That's new to me. I have to look that one up. You got me on that one. I'm usually up to date on my porn.
Wow.
Look it up on your own time. Get the fuck out of here.
Joyful joy.
Well, let me fill in people who don't know. There has been a lawsuit submitted by a hairdresser, makeup artist over at Fox Sports. And she claims that she was sexually harassed by Skip Bayless. The Skip Bayless offered her $1.5 million to have sex with her. Now, it was funny because Stephen A. Smith said, I know Skip Bayless. He wouldn't offer anybody $15 for sex, much less $1.5 million. So take it all with a grain of salt. But in a very long, I guess it's called deposition, the paperwork for the lawsuit, there's all these salacious stories about this woman, this hairdresser, basically says that Joy Taylor was fucking everybody over at Fox Sports. Some guy named Dixon, perfect name, Dixon, who is vice president over at Fox, Emmanuel Acho,
Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp. And you guys recall that Shannon on social media posted a video of him fucking somebody, but it was like a butt recording or something. The camera was pointing at the floor, but you hear him, oh, baby, oh, and her going, So now people are saying, that's Joy Taylor and Shannon Sharp. It could be. It could be. I mean, you talk about a fucking scandal, and God bless her. Nobody wants, if she was my daughter and that happened to her, I'd be sick. But at the same time, the pervert in me, I want to see some pictures, man.
Right.
So,
there's another
what do you guys
video.
think?
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of shit going on up at Fox Sports, man.
You're welcome, D. Starring.
Skip is an old freak. I said Skip was a little jealous of Shannon was getting all the action in the office. He was flirting with all the ladies, and he heard he was getting up with Joy, so he was all over this hairdresser. And this hairdresser kept all her receipts, it seems like. She had times and dates of everything. I don't know why she chose to drag Joy Taylor under the bus. Maybe she invited her to join in on the suit and told her, like, if you don't, I was going to go another way for you. And she completely drugged that woman. But
yeah, that's a good point, Samuel, because I was wondering, why, if the lawsuit is that she was sexually harassed, is she also saying that Joy Taylor was a part of that sexual harassment? I read one part where she said that Joy said, it's not a big deal. Let it go. And so maybe that's why, she brought up what, Joy's attitudes or behavior about sex is that she's, allegedly a promiscuous woman, and that, having somebody offer you $1 million plus to have sex, you should be happy about that. I know I would be. Anybody offer me $1.5 million, I'd figure out a way to get my dick hard and have this. Hey, Tooch, would you fuck Virginia McCaskey for $1.5 million? Of course you would.
Hell yeah.
Tear it up.
Tear it up.
Tearing it up.
God bless
Tearing
you.
it up.
I'm only saying this because the minister, Charles Johnson, is not with us anymore. So, hey, guys, it's time to wrap things up. I want to go around the horn and ask Samuel, plug whatever you want. Any final words about the Chicago Bears? Take it away, brother.
Hey, this has been fun, man. Appreciate you, Aldo, for the invite. Shout out to you, Tooch, man. Great doing the show with you.
Thanks, buddy.
And hearing you live, man. Bears fans, let's pray. Let's just pray that we stumble upon the right choice of head coaches, and that everything works out. I know that we're all down in the dumps right now, and we're just lacking optimism because of the lack of direction. But hey, the only thing we can do is pray and hope that maybe something falls into place and we choose the right guy. Maybe Ben Johnson decides to come here. Hey, and things all work out. That's the only thing we can do is pray. Pray about it. That's all I can say to Bears fans. Pray about it.
Yeah. Need a lot of prayers. I didn't get Aldo's reaction to how I was saying it's the coach is more important these days in today's NFL than the GM, and offense is more important than defense wins championships. Offense seems to be the way to get things done in today's NFL. I was wondering how you felt about that.
Well, that was just one of several brilliant parts of your state of affairs. I'm going to try to isolate that, make some time and isolate that and send it out via our social media channels. But I agree with you. When you have a position now that in this point in time, you are basically allowing some head coaches to handpick the general manager for the team, then you're absolutely right, Tooch. The head coaches now have the upper hand. And Samuel, I'd love your opinion on this. The perception that I get from Ryan Poles is that nobody wants to handpick him. Because they know he's been learning on the job and he's been, unfortunately, a slow learner. I think Ryan Post could eventually be a great general manager. But the fact is, just like with Matt Nagy, brought into the Chicago Bears organization way too early. He hasn't ripened yet.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think, it's too soon for him. I think he's in over his head. He's proven that time after time. I think that Kevin Warren, he basically said it today. He says that he hopes that he grows into the leader that he knows that he could be. It's just saying that he's made a lot of mistakes and he's not there yet. That's right. That's how I took that. It's like you're saying that you acknowledge that, like he's a little bit in over his head, but they still have faith in him for the 1 year lifetime. And we're going to go from there. So, yeah.
There you go. All right, Tooch, take it away. Tell us what you're working on and any other words of wisdom you have to impart.
Yep, I got weekend sports betting tips with my partners Sean and Anthony, giving out some plays. Unfortunately, I had the Bears have been terrible in the first half, so my pick was Packers minus some points in the first half. But the punt return screwed everything up. Otherwise, I don't know. Probably might have had a chance to hit, but we did sweep 1 week. So one ex-follower retweeted the show and got a free weekend VI pass from Weekend Sports Betting Tips. So
nice.
That was good. And that was the week before this weekend. And then I got Barfly Tailgate. We did our last show, except we're going to do like a draft show with Aaron Current and Baralissimo, myself, and maybe some other folks for Firefly Tailgate, maybe in a couple weeks. And then working on Bare Their Souls. And I had we were off for 2 weeks straight. I had a couple of Bears State of Affairs that we didn't get to hear. Lions and Seahawks.
I got the feeling that there were parts of today's State of Affairs that you kind of brought over from a week or two ago. Great material. I'm glad you did, but because of the length, it was a little longer than most of them.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
during the Seahawks game. I tried to return the game, Aldo, because it was defective. no touchdowns.
I love it. I would have put wrong items sent because I thought the Bears were going to win. It's like, hey, wait a minute.
It was worth a shot. Maybe Amazon would give me my money back for the month.
One day we're going to all sit down. I'd love to do a show with multiple people and then just look back at this 2024 season, because this has been a historic season. Because the type of season it was. I mean, I can go back and tell you a lot about the 1-13 season in 1969, but this season eclipses that because of the way we lost, those last-minute losses, those coaching errors and stuff.
Arguably the most disappointing season in Bears history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there being a lot of optimism coming into the season, and we were just finding new ways to win, like Aldo said, like the failed Mary and blocked field goals and things like that. Like every week, it was just a new way. We were discovering new ways to win. Mismanagement of time. It's just, man, I don't know. Like you said, it has to deal with ownership, because it just seems like, man, it's just getting worse as the time goes on.
There's a lot of folks that are, defend. Nobody's defending the McCaskies, by the way, but a lot of folks that defending Poles and Warren. To me, it's like, how can you look at these two guys and think that this is one of the best run of franchises in the NFL? It's bottom 2, I think, in the NFL, bottom 3 run as far as like people who run the Bears, from ownership to management to the coaching. Horrible.
Competing with the Jets right now, right?
Yeah,
Jets,
Giants,
Raiders, the Giants. Yep.
That's wild. The two of the 3 biggest markets have some of the worst franchises: Jets, Giants, and Bears. Unbelievable.
3 top markets.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
And well, it's especially frustrating because we could have hired Jim Harbaugh, and he's taking a 5-11 or 5-12 team to the playoffs. What are they? They're 11-6, 12-5. Yeah,
with Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey is his top receiver. That's just
1,100 yards.
A slap in the face, right?
Better, more yardage than Keenan Allen had this season. By the way, Laz says that he misses Dan Aguirre because he misses Dan's sex stories, his conquests and so forth. So I'm going to put you on the spot. You want to share a sex story from your past? Somebody that you fucked in church or something like that.
My wife might be watching this. My wife might be watching this, so I'll save that for backstage.
I love it.
That can't go well either way.
I love it. Way to put him on the spot, Tooch. Come on, man. Have some class.
I'm wondering where the sex church is.
Hey, but I'll just say this. I've had sex in many places.
The wrong church.
That's hilarious. All right, everybody, it is time to close this chapter of Bare Their Souls. Thank you very much for joining us live. And for those of you watching on demand, thank you as well. Do me a favor, hit the like button, all the shit. I'll have my little AI chick save.
Okay, guys and girls, if you like what you see, give us a like, press the bell, and subscribe. Thank you, sweetie pies.
It's unbelievable how many times I catch myself masturbating to an AI girl nowadays. It's unbelievable. Jeez. But I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. But for Samo, for Tooch, for Mr. Shorty, my name is Aldo. Subscribe to the channel. We'll let you know when the next show is. Take care, everybody.